Hello, it's Grandma here. I've been having a few thoughts this morning about just having a bit of a fireside chat. Some of the things that I think are coming up in the press and in the world at the moment can be quite concerning for people, and I know people can get depressed and down. But look, from at my point, I'm having a birthday in a couple of weeks. At my point in life, everything in the end works out. I can tell you, it works out. Everything is, all those concerns that really worry you. I was looking at Hillary Clinton this morning, and there was a story about how she's not too worried about wearing makeup, and she's at a point in her life where she feels really confident in herself, and that is a great place to get to. I've got to say, I still think a bit of makeup does a girl a lot of good. And I think of my mother, who died at the age of 98, and she still had her hot pink coat she'd put on and her rouge, as she called it, and blush up those cheeks. And I admired that in her, that she still had that pride in herself. So I think there are two schools of thought on that one, but go Hillary. That confidence is fantastic, and she certainly has achieved a huge amount in her life and in her time on this earth, out there in the public life. It's a huge amount of giving. And one of the things I think, if you are feeling down and depressed, that is an awesomely good thing to do, to make you feel, to lift your spirits, to take you out of that place where things for you are not seeming really great, is to get out and do something for someone else. It is amazing if you take yourself out there and perhaps do a little bit of volunteering, or just ring a couple of friends you feel perhaps need a little bit of support too, or perhaps your parents or your grandmother would just love to hear from you and have a bit of a chat and so on. It's amazing how thinking of someone else can just take you away from those things that are concerning you and sitting on your shoulders and feeling like the end of the earth is nigh. But the other thing that I've seen a lot on the news this week, and something that really, really, really worries me, is all of this exposure of children to porn. I don't mean them being in a show, that's terrible. That's terrible. But this was kids who now, with the access to technology, can take their little phone to school and Google up a site and pass that around. And here in Australia, there have been a couple of shows about discussion groups on this, and I don't know, I'm sure in America there must be a lot of that too, and England and around the world. But taking away children's right to be children, to me, is just the most awful thing. As you know, I have 8 grandbabies, and my feeling and protection towards them is just huge. And but I'm quite glad that it's been brought up so that I can be aware of it, because certainly I wasn't thinking about that. But of course, in my day and age, we lived in a very different world to young people today. My kids think that I lived in the ark, I think, because of the things that we were restricted to do, from doing. There certainly was no free sex around, because there was no contraception, really. And so we were, we knew the girls that would, as it were. But, I'm sure that, I think that's a very freeing. I'm not saying that was a great age to live in, but I think that this access to technology to expose kids to porn and to shock them and to take away that innocence and that wonderful exploring that we all do, quite traumatic, but we all do it, and we discover as we need those discoveries. So just a couple of things. I thought a little fireside chat might be just a bit of fun, and love you all, love chatting. And what I'd love to hear from you is, I'd love to hear back from you some of your thoughts on perhaps those couple of subjects there. Should we always have that little bit of pride in ourselves, I suppose, to splash on the blusher and the lippy? Or do you think that that's a great place to get to where you don't need to try and be that, sort of show that front side to the world? And I'd love to hear your thoughts on porn, technology, and the availability of some things that personally I would rather children weren't exposed to. Love you. Talk to you soon, Grandma.